So you could tell by the name of the podcast that we are going to be talking about purity culture again. This time it's going to be a little different, but if you want a little bit more on our background with purity culture, you can go and watch our purity culture episode from season 1. But just a brief little recap on George and my background, just so we don't have to constantly keep coming up with our background, is we grew up very conservative, very Christian, very evangelical. Body is bad, sex is bad, nakedness is bad. So when we, going forward, talk about like how something affects us or how, growing up was a certain way, just know that it was really conservative and there was a lot of shame involved in that. So just thought I'd get that out of the way now because we are going to be talking about it, and it might be helpful for you to know that that is where we grew up and we're not just weird, we were wired this way. We're going to be talking about like puberty and the difference between boys and girls. Just know we are using boys and girls as a generalization. Instead of saying assigned female at birth, assigned male at birth, we're just going to use the generalized boy-girl. If you are currently listening and your gender currently now is not the same as the sex you were, or the gender you were assigned at birth, just know you're included in this. You're included in this conversation. But it's just for sake of time and for our ease, so we're not thinking about it a bunch, we're going to generalize. So just know, everybody, it's a generalization when we say boys, girls, etc. But I think that's everything I wanted to say to start us off. Rip. Let's get into talking about why we had to close our eyes walking through the bra aisle. George, tell us a little bit more.
I wasn't closing my eyes. Were you closing yours?
I still close my eyes.
You still close your eyes in the bra aisle?
It makes me so nervous. What if somebody's watching me look at the fake mannequin boobies?
Well, are you going down the aisle or are you just walking toward...
I avoid the aisle. If it's quicker to go through the bra aisle, I avoid it. I'm going around it.
Really? You will add to your route.
Right.
Knowing you will avoid the bra aisle.
Yep. I don't want someone to see me and be like, who's the creep staring at all the boobs in the packaging? And I'd have to be like, it's me. I'm the creep. I'm the one. I was looking. I peeked a look, and I'm going.
Well, it's hard with the mannequins are different too because they're standing up and like facing you.
Right.
But the packaging in the bra aisle, like you kind of have to go down the aisle to see those.
Yeah, I will say I think that was maybe my first entry into like bodies was seeing like it was a packaging for tights, but like actual like underdress tights, and I picked one up and like, oh, did it do something for me? I don't know exactly what, and maybe it was because I was 12 years old and this was the first skin tight leg I'd seen in my entire life, but it changed things for me. It was at Target at 21st and Greenwich. I know the aisle I was in. I remember seeing it. I remember picking it up, and I remember how red my face got when I realized, oh, I like to look at this.
Do you remember her name?
I didn't get her name, no. It was a beautiful, beautiful 2:50 p.m. like moment she and I shared together, but I unfortunately didn't get her name nor her number, and I couldn't seal the deal.
Damn.
So was that not your experience going to Walmart?
Yeah, definitely didn't spend too much time near the bra aisle. I didn't avoid it necessarily, but yeah, I would never go down the aisle. It's interesting because like the female breasts, like specifically, like you see the outline of boobs all the time in like media and just like growing up in the US, like you see it all the time, but there's something about like the nipple itself that is like, whoa.
Yeah. And what is that for real? Because like I've also seen pictures, don't ask me how, pictures of women with like nipples, and then Photoshop, the nipples will be out, and there's just something less interesting about a nippleless like boob in that scenario where it's like there's something wired in here about that nipple.
I think that's where my earliest like curiosity with it started was what's behind the bra. I gotta know.
I got it. There's more. There's more back there.
Yeah, because like when a woman had a ton of cleavage or something, like I don't know, it was just like I never ever saw a nipple unless it was me like Googling it. Mm-hmm. But like I was like, what's behind? Like, does it look like a guy's nipple? Is it different? Like, surely they don't have hair. Like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Okay.
So it was a lot of curiosity at the beginning.
I have a question for you.
All right.
We both had Nintendo DSs. Did you ever go into the PictoChat and draw boobs just to see what they look like?
I mean, I drew plenty of dicks to make up for the lack of boobs. So no, I don't think I drew
You were a dick
boobs.
drawer?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get too fancy with it. Sometimes it was just a line and then like a W below it for the balls. But I think this shows my youth at the time. The funnier thing was that there was a stream of pee coming out of the dick. That was the funny thing.
So you weren't even into penis humor. You were into pee humor.
Yeah, yeah.
I
That's what, I was still in poop and pee.
Right.
Like that was still funny
That's
to me.
fair.
Not necessarily dicks.
I remember butts being fun. Butts were funny, but
You're a
butts
butt
weren't
guy?
sexual. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I just like
Yeah.
mooning somebody was always the funniest bit you could do. Like
Yeah.
in the pool when you'd like do a little mermaid and your butt would come out of the water. That was
Yeah.
jokes. That was all jokes. There was like nothing sexy about a butt.
No.
But nipples, don't get me started on nipples. Yeah, what was the
Yeah.
deal with that? How much? Tell me the line from curiosity to like sexuality. Like when do you think it changed for you, or was it all kind of the same?
Yeah, because I think there's a distinction, like growing up, there's a balance between like curiosity and then that like horniness slash shame. There's just like a balance between those things, and something that every kid has is that curiosity for like what their body's doing and what the person of the opposite sex's body is doing. And so, yeah, just like early on, there was like curiosity. But I think like the point of like proper sex ed is to scratch the itch of curiosity. And then like you don't feel as much shame around it because you're not like associating that curiosity with like some shameful horniness that you're feeling at 12 years old, when you just want to know like, well, what is the little nipple behind the bra? Where is it? Like, what does it look like? Something like proper sex ed, which would be like, this is what a nipple looks like. And then you'd be like, oh, I no longer wonder. And then you don't have to like, when you wonder, be like, oh, I'm such a perv for wondering what a nipple looks like.
I think you're so right that I haven't really thought about that as the point of. Well, I mean, not the sex ed is the point, but yeah, kind of getting that curiosity out of the way. Because my curiosity phase, I felt like lasted like a year. Like it felt like it went on forever. Because I didn't know where to look. I would look in like, I remember we had a very small library in our school growing up, which we went to a school with like 30 people, and it was hardly a school, but it was like a little schoolhouse with a bunch of families. And we had a library of donated books. And I remember I would go through the picture books and like try to find anything. And I felt deeply ashamed of this, but like any Adam and Eve books, like did any of these artists go so
Damn,
far?
another tree branch right in front of the vagina.
Oh, why are there always leaves? And then like art books, loved art books because people would paint nudes. Like that's where it started for me, was finding art books. And then I'd find art books or I'd find art online because I didn't know to look for sex, because I didn't know that's what I was looking for. I just wanted to see what bodies looked like. So I'd find art, and then I would find like more and more explicit art. And then I realized, maybe I've told you this, I think maybe I've said this in the podcast, but I realized, and maybe it's just through looking, that there were people who actually would pose to be painted nude. Like there were posers who did not feel deeply ashamed of being naked in front of somebody, that they would do that. Then that existed inside of me as like whoa, there are people who are that comfortable being naked in front of other people that they would stand and pose naked. Crazy. They're insane. I got to figure out their deal. So then the search at that point was like muses, or like nude muse, naked muse. Cause I wanted to see a video of, or like a picture of somebody posing naked, because I wanted to see a real person, not a painting. And then I discovered there are a lot of people who like to be naked online. and it's actually very easy to find them if you know the words to look up. And I just had to know the words. So I learned the words, and then I stopped pretty soon looking at pictures of models, and I started pretty soon looking at pictures of models. And that changed everything. I think that was the mark from curiosity to titillation.
So you felt like your questions were pretty much answered, and then you were ready to just start being a little horny boy.
I guess. I guess if the questions are, what does a naked person look like? That answered my questions. I didn't know the questions to ask, so I didn't think about like, how are babies made? That wasn't something that interested me. I didn't think about sex. I didn't know what sex was. I thought like just like intense making out like was sex. So like a sex scene in movies I thought was just more kissing. So I didn't it was just straight up porn, and then I just saw what porn was. And even that was like, I wasn't even curious about it. At that point, I was only titillated. I had no questions about it. I just wanted them to keep it coming. No pun intended. What's your experience with that, though?
Yeah, I mean, I really had to get under the hood. I really had to see. I had to see with my own eyes. I had to see if a female nipple was the same. Because I just, like your Adam and Eve book story, it's hard to get a hold of in the wild.
You can't find that. They keep those under wraps.
Yeah, like you have to seek it out and like admit that you're looking for it if you're gonna get it. So yeah, I mean that's kind of how it started for me. Like I remember like DC animated superheroes would always wear a bunch of clean cleavage, and so then I would look up like stuff like that, and then sooner or later, you find some animated boobs with the nipples, and you're like, okay, well, this is animation. I'm still not at the end of my research.
But we're getting closer. We're getting closer.
Yeah, we're getting closer. Yeah. So then, keep Googling, and then you find it. So there was that, but that was like late middle school. There was a time way before it where I literally typed in naked girl, and that was like a Google search. I don't know. It was probably... I really don't know. Probably like 4th grade, 3rd grade. I don't know.
What? That's so early. Not to everybody. To me, I was in 8th grade.
It was pretty late, actually. That's actually normal.
I'm sorry. It's very normal. I think that's so normal. I just assumed you and I were the same, and that neither of us were so bold as to look like. I wouldn't have typed that until freshman year of high school, I think.
Yeah, no, I remember very vividly because I saw a woman and I was like, oh God, that's a lot. And I like exited out and I was like, all right, I know now. I don't want to look at that
So you were almost embarrassed to see it.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah, and so that like experience was like my first, like Googling naked people.
Never forget your first nipple.
You never forget your first nipple. Yeah. I didn't get her name, but
you got her number though?
I did see her nipple. No, but I saw her nipple. And it was a single nipple. The way she was laying
only
down,
what you didn't
was weird. She was like laying down. I think she was doing a shoot or something, and it was like I only saw like half of her chest.
Wow. Remember it so vividly.
I actually got to see, because I don't know what her other nipple looks like, so I should probably try to find that.
Do you ever... I gotta find that. Do you ever wonder what she's doing now? What she's doing nowadays? One of my first stories of like being so ashamed of myself or like my body or my whatever happened so we had a pool growing up, and I had a change of clothes, and this change of clothes had a pair of shorts and a pair of underwear and a t-shirt, and I brought it out with me and put it in our pool house so that when I left the pool I could bring out my underwear or put on my underwear, my shorts, whatever. I remember being so adamant that my underwear could not be visible in the bag. Like it just couldn't be. It was tucked inside of my shorts, and it was folded over itself so that you couldn't see underwear. I was wearing underwear, but it was like I remember walking from my bedroom to the pool, and Faith walked with me, and the whole time I was thinking, can she see my underwear? Can she see in the bag? Not even that I'm wearing underwear. In the bag, can she see the underwear that I have in the bag? And I don't know why I remember that a few times, or like when my shorts would start to sag playing basketball or something. My underwear, oh no, they could see the line of my underwear. I have to have my shorts above the line of the underwear. And I don't know if it's like a decency thing or a body thing. It felt similar to like how I couldn't look at the bra. Like I couldn't see underwear as well. Like underwear was just off limits either way, whether someone is seeing mine or I'm seeing someone else's. Does that track with you at all? Did you have a weird thing about underwear? Because even now to this day, when I like fold my clothes up, I put my underwear inside of my pants. I don't know. It's so silly. I'm like really. I try to even actively be like, you don't have to do that. You have underwear and that's okay. But just like when I'm not thinking, I'll hide it. I'll tuck it away.
Did you ever have a commando phase?
No, I don't. I was afraid of people seeing my penis. The underwear blocks the penis.
Yeah, that's true. I went half a year. It was probably half a year in like 7th grade where I was just complete commando. No, this is 6th grade. Yeah, I was complete commando.
Why do you think that was? What did that come out of?
So a lot more air circulation down there.
Okay, and you need that when you're 10 years old.
Yeah. Gets swampy down there. Yeah, I think I like did it once and then was like, oh, I survived. Like everything's okay.
Nobody saw you.
Nobody noticed. And so, yeah, it was just easier. But then I remember one time when I think I made the decision to not do it anymore was I had a basketball game and the shorts we wore for jerseys didn't have a tie. And I was just completely naked under my shorts.
It's my worst nightmare.
Yeah, they didn't have a tie. So I was just terrified that during the game something would happen and I'd just be completely butt naked.
Did anything happen?
Nothing happened. I survived, but I decided to wear underwear.
It was a close call. It was too close for comfort.
Yeah, but yeah, I went a lot of my life like I don't know. It's just like, wow. Like I always thought underwear was like a requirement, but nah, man. Like we just live in a society, bro, where people
we make up these rules.
Right. So, yeah. I mean, that was my earliest experience of that. Like, I definitely didn't want people to see my underwear too. Yeah. I feel like that's common for little boys.
I was like in 8th grade. Like I was probably too old for that, I'm sure. But telling that story, I thought of something else where I want people I went to high school with to weigh in. This is something I've wondered for a long time. So I had, and I think everybody had this. It's like your worst pair of underwear. So that day was my worst pair of underwear day. And I was wearing underwear that were like really loose around my legs. So that like, not boxers, but basically boxers. But they were high up, so it would be really easy to upskirt me and see what I got going on.
Oh, if you're like sitting the wrong way?
Yes, if I'm sitting the wrong way. So I always was aware when I wear those underwear, I had to wear pants so that people couldn't see my penis. Those were your
pants underwear?
Those are my pants only underwear.
Oh my God.
So that day was field day at school, and I only brought shorts and my bad underwear. I don't know why. I call it lack of planning. I don't remember what happened. But I wore my bad underwear with easy access to penis and a pair of shorts that were, I think, too short. And so I was super uncomfortable all day thinking, like, people can see my penis as soon as I sit down. If I sit down, they're going to see my penis. It was a really big deal for me. And then toward the end of the day, I found myself sitting on the floor with my knees up and, like, just kind of hanging out and chilling. And then I looked down and saw way too much thigh. I saw so much thigh on me. And I was like, I bet everyone who walked past me saw and noticed and made fun of in their head my penis. I'm certain of it. So this is my question to any listener who went to high school with me, my freshman year, the year's 2010, field day. If you saw my penis, please tell me. I would love to know.
Please raise your hand. If
I
this
apologize.
this man exposed himself to you.
Yes, I think I owe so many people an apology for that day, and I would like to personally apologize to you if you inadvertently saw my penis on the day freshman year of high school field day. Yeah, so just want to. That's something that I think has been sitting under my chest for a long time.
Yeah, I mean
I needed to get that out.
The true crime is that you have pants only underwear in the first place. That's not how underwear works.
That's so true. I mean, why didn't I just throw away the underwear? Why I didn't like wearing them. It just happened to I opened the drawer. Those were the ones on top. Shit. Guess I'm wearing these today.
There's a non-zero chance a lot of people see my dick.
And I guess that's just the risk I have to take because those were the underwear that were on top today.
Yeah. I wore a lot of shitty underwear growing up too.
We all did. Our underwear, I don't
Yeah.
even know if I want to get into how nasty our underwear was as kids. Why did we?
No, I think we shouldn't actually. I think that's gross.
Okay, actually, you're right. We don't have to get. Nobody's forcing us.
I
to
think
get
the listeners felt the same way when you said that.
Is that? Are we normal for that? Does everybody have a complex about their underwear? I guess maybe I'm opening this up to listeners as well. Was that a thing in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade? Is people seeing your underwear?
Yeah, I mean, I even got embarrassed my senior year on a trip me and my class went on. Yeah, it was just holding my clothes. We went and swam, and then after we changed, and I swam in my underwear. So on the ride back, I was gonna go commando. Because I've been there, done that. I know it's safe. I know commando is safe.
Yeah, you've been practicing.
Yeah, I'd been practicing. And so on the way up back to the bus from where we were swimming, my underwear somehow fell off of my pile of clothes. And it was right outside the bus. And so we were all inside the bus, and our teacher, Mr. Lofton was his name. He comes into the bus and he's like, "Someone dropped their underwear outside the bus. I'm not going to pick it up." And so I ashamedly, in this bus of all my friends that I've gone to high school with for 4 years, I stand up and I'm like, I look around first. I'm like, ooh, I don't have any underwear with me. And that was my good underwear too. I could wear that with shorts. I could wear that with pants. It was really good underwear. And so I got up and went outside the bus and picked up the underwear. And I mean, there's no easy way around it. You can be like, that's my underwear, and everyone can laugh. I don't know. It's just honestly, we all just laugh.
I think senior year, if I'm you, I don't claim it.
You don't claim it?
I lose a pair of underwear that day.
God.
Good soldier.
He's such good underwear.
Gone but not forgotten. I think I leave it. I mean, I think that I think there is something deeply wrong with me about that. I don't think that's good or right.
Yeah.
But I think I would have been super.
Well,
ashamed.
let me tell you the ramifications, and you can decide. I am the case study on this, so you can decide if you wish you would have done that. My girlfriend, who I went to high school with, still brings it up to this day, and other people from high school remember it. So knowing that,
I'm ending it all. Ending it all on the spot. If I have to stand up and grab the underwear, I would rather be run over by the bus.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's funny. I mean, I remember just getting back in the bus. I sat next to, I don't know, some girl, and it was embarrassing, but it wasn't that bad. I would have done it again. Easy.
Right. I mean, I think maybe it would have been a good practice for me, a good practice in body acceptance, but I for sure wouldn't say anything.
I mean, I still felt embarrassed even though I was a senior in high school. I think that's normal for people to feel embarrassed about their undergarments. I mean, not everyone. I feel like you get to adulthood or whatever, and now I don't care.
Oh, now I need that underwear. I need that underwear.
Yeah, and even if I'm walking around my house or something and someone's over, I don't know. It's not the end of the world if people see me in my underwear. So I don't know. I think that's just a part of growing up. I don't know.
I mean, I think it is. I think it is specific to. I don't know. I guess I wonder. I kind of set this all up as if it was specific to that purity culture thing, but like, I don't. Maybe it's just embarrassment. Maybe this is all a lesson in my inability to withstand embarrassment. Like when I'm embarrassed, it is like soul crushing. It is deeply, deeply like harmful to me. It feels like, so I just can't handle it. And you're like, yeah, it was embarrassing. I'm like, no, but it was embarrassing. You can't be embarrassed. Being embarrassed is the worst thing someone can experience. So maybe everybody has the same weirdness about, their bodies or their undergarments. And I just like, I and millions of other people just like me hate being embarrassed that much. So tell us a bit about puberty. What's going on over there, puberty-wise?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I was trying to remember my first boner, but I don't remember it. Do you remember your first boner?
No, but I remember another penis story. No, okay, I'll tell it. I think maybe it was close to my first boner. So I used to, I can't. So it was about around the time I would have gotten a boner, and I think I remember getting a boner. Okay, so you know how a penis hole,
Urethra.
thank you, sex ed, it kind of sometimes looks like it has lips around the hole of it.
Yeah.
So if you pinch it just right, it looks like the lips are talking to you.
Whoa,
So
yeah.
There were some times when I was a child, I would play with my penis to make the lips look like they were talking to me by pinching it a bunch.
Yeah.
And that I was working the guy up so much.
Yeah.
I remember one day it got hard. I don't remember it like was the first time, but I remember it being like, oh, it's not a squishy guy anymore.
Yeah,
but it was so like I wouldn't have even thought about what that meant or was. It was just like, just kind of playing. I literally just playing with him as if it were a toy.
That's funny. Wow. Yeah. I'm just having this deep memory. This is so funny.
I think you probably feel exactly the way I just felt, which was like, do I say this? Am I supposed to say this?
Well, yeah. What happened? I mean, it was the same thing for me. Like I would play with my like flaccid dick, and then it would get hard, and it'd be like, well, this is now a different dick.
This is a different thing entirely.
Yeah. And so that's what I would do. I also used to just like, I mean, this is a sidebar, but whenever I would go poop and sit on the toilet, I would sit on the toilet for a long time. I don't know why. I don't think I was still like pooping. I think I just liked to like be there sitting. But then I would also just like play with my balls and dick. And so I don't know if like you could like push your balls up into the whatever it's called up there before they drop. I don't know what those are called.
I don't know if I did
inventory
that.
slots where you put your balls.
I wasn't much of a balls guy, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, I would like push them up there, and then I would like, I would have the sack, and I would just kind of wrap that around my dick.
Okay, yeah, I've been there. I've done that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
No, you gotta do the ball wrap.
Yeah.
Gotta try the ball wrap. And if you haven't, I think you are able to now even as an adult. So if you've not gotten in on this ball wrap and you have a dick and balls, try wrapping your dick with your balls. And if you are a woman or somebody who doesn't have a penis and is so appalled by this conversation, I guess I'm just kind of sorry. But there's like a truth of it, There's a truth of the matter that all boys just kind of play with their dicks.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot going on. There's a sack with 2 balls in there. There's a dick. There's a hole in the dick. Like, there's just a lot going on. And at some point, you get hair, and yeah, it's just
the hair phase was wild.
Yeah,
the hair phase was different for me. That was.
You're a hairy guy too, just in general.
Yeah. I remember having armpit hair before any of my friends, and that was about the same time I had dick hair, and I was embarrassed of it, but I was embarrassed of everything. So that wasn't a unique experience to be embarrassed of that. That's puberty, and it felt like we were just figuring out puberty for us, like when we were kids. Like, do you remember having any sort of sex ed talk? Like, Yeah, tell me about that.
No, I did not have any sort of sex ed talk. I had an awkward conversation with my father on the way home from like a out of state tennis tournament. Um, and I was pretty old at the time in high school and was kind of like, I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to have this conversation. And he was obviously uncomfortable too. And um, he said some of what he probably needed to say. And I was like, yeah, I already know this, yada, yada.
Is
And
that a lie? You didn't know it?
yeah, I didn't know. But I believed that I was too old for this conversation. So I was stubborn and didn't want to listen. And I was stuck in a car for a few hours. It's just, I was also in my angsty teen vibe where I like kind of didn't like my dad just because I was mad more than I used to be because I'm an angsty teen.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that was the only sex talk I got. And yeah, I felt really like uneducated about sex until I finally just decided to start Googling it and figure it out because I was tired of like, just like not knowing and laughing along to jokes I didn't understand. So yeah, like the summer before college, I remember just being like, all right, I'm just going to Google everything. And I found this like great, there's like this British sex ed YouTube channel and they had a lot of helpful videos. So learned a lot about sex that summer. And yeah, that's the summer after high school. So yeah, I really didn't know a lot.
That feels. I'm just so interested now to know what the average person's experience is. I mean, I know it's maybe even silly.
Are you using me as the average?
Like, I was gonna say that feels late, but I don't know. I don't know at all, especially in our.
It's
in
different
our,
for
like,
so many
universe.
people. Like,
right. It's maybe a moot point to even try to find the average, but
yeah.
I wasn't that curious as much as I was tantalized by it. Like, I just was okay not knowing because what I did know was fine and good enough, and I could find it on the internet. But I only ever really looked it up on the internet to be aroused by it, not to learn more. I wasn't that curious about how sex worked because I kind of felt like I figured it out through porn, which is, not healthy. I don't feel like I'm a better person for that. I think that was, problematic for me, but I don't know. And then once I started having sex, that was like, oh, okay, I can learn this way too. And then
just ask the person you're having sex with, especially if they're the opposite sex. You can just ask them questions. Yeah.
So that's a lot of how I learned everything was just through like.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when Maddie and I were in high school, we would sit and we sat one night and she just told me all about how a period works, and that was wild. That was the one thing. It was like I would laugh along when people would talk about periods. I understood none of it. I didn't understand the bleeding. I didn't understand what it meant. I didn't get any of it. And then I think Maddie probably picked up on that and was like, "Hey, we should talk." And then she and I, sat in a McDonald's parking lot until like 2 a.m. talking about periods. And that was fun. I remember that fondly.
Nice.
I feel like that was so much of my sex ed was just in a relationship with someone.
All right. Well, I found some information about sex ed and how it's currently being taught in the world, because I was like, we didn't get a formal sex education, if you will. And so I was like, did public school kids get, a formal sex education? So it turns out it's not a federally regulated thing, sex education. There's not, some rule that's like, all right, you're sixth graders, now you have to watch this video in PE. It's state regulated. So every state is different about how they approach sex education.
It also might be worth mentioning that you and I didn't even go to public school. So while it's regulated for public schools, we went to private school, and that's unregulated. So they were allowed to just choose what they wanted to do.
Yeah. Private school, the burden of sex education was completely placed on the parents, which is how education used to be. But in public schools now, states handle it differently. So I found a helpful website that gives every state a grade on their sex education curriculum. So I wanted to ask you and get your opinion, get some guesses from you on what you think Kansas, the state you live in, and Oregon, the state I live in, what their grade is in terms of their sex education curriculum. And if you want some help, you can ask about another state, and I'll tell you what their grade is to use as a reference.
Okay. Yeah. Give me Ohio.
He says Ohio. Let's see what their grade is.
Wait, let me guess what Ohio is first. I guess my assumption would be Ohio is a D plus. No, yeah, D plus.
Good guess. They have an overall grade of D.
Ooh, okay.
Their sex ed requirement is a grade of B, but their content grade is an F.
All right.
So they're a D.
And then that's actually really helpful for me. And now let me get Pennsylvania, and I'm going to guess they are a B minus.
All of these states are on a map. So
you don't know where Pennsylvania is.
Found it. Pennsylvania. They have a grade of a D plus.
Oh, all right. So I was wrong about that. Okay, so here's my guess. Let's do Kansas first.
All right.
I think Kansas is literally straight up an F.
Kansas. Your guess is an F. Their grade is a D plus.
Oh, better than Ohio.
Yes.
Suck at Ohio.
Nebraska, right above us, has a grade of F. All right, and some just like details about that, why they have a score of a D plus. Just to throw some like 4 bullet points at you. 1, curriculum is not required to include instruction on sexual orientation or gender identity. That's not shocking.
In Kansas, not shocking.
Curriculum is not required to do that. Now here's the second bullet point that might rustle a few feathers. Curriculum is not required to include instruction on consent. However, the Kansas Model Curriculum Standards include instruction on laws associated with sexual behaviors, including consent. So basically, the curriculum is not required to include instruction on consent. But there's like this Kansas Model Curriculum Standards that schools get tested on or something, and that includes laws about consent, but not curriculum about consent, just like the laws. So that's pretty shocking.
Yeah, it's not great.
Not great. And then Kansas has a opt-in, opt-out policy. Well, different schools handle it differently. An opt-out policy means your student's gonna get taught the sex ed unless you opt out. An opt-in policy is your kid doesn't have to get taught it unless you actually opt in. So some schools handle that differently, which is interesting. I think everything should be opt-out.
Well, I do think a D plus grade for sex education would have been better than nothing, which is what we got. Because we weren't even on I don't think we had any sex education. So like I would have rather gotten a D plus sex education than a 0. But yeah, D plus isn't great. I'm not surprised though. I'm not surprised by Kansas. Kansas is definitely afraid of sex.
I mean, yeah.
It's maybe one of the least sexy states.
Clearly never been to Hillsboro, Kansas. Ooh, hubba hubba.
That's a great point. Hubba hubba.
Well, the consent piece is like honestly jarring. Like, what the fuck? Why aren't you teaching consent? Like, if you're not teaching consent, it's because they're being like, pro abstinence. Like, abstinence is the safest sex.
Exactly.
And to teach consent is to give up that point that like you believe that abstinence is realistic.
Yeah.
Like, so that's really the hill they're dying on, I feel like, by not teaching consent, is that abstinence is realistic.
They still want it to be abstinence forward.
Right.
Which is so ineffective.
Right.
All right, now I am interested in Oregon. I think I'm going to give Oregon a B plus.
Oregon has a grade of A minus.
Ooh, look at you.
In fact, that is the tied for best grade in the U.S. with Illinois.
Illinois? I guess maybe
Illinois.
Interesting.
I know.
Their
requirements aren't that good. It's a grade of C. But as far as the content they actually use, it's an A+. So they're just, their teachers are killing it. They're not required to do it, but their teachers are just choosing good content.
That feels right for Oregon.
So Oregon, it's kind of just the opposite of some of the bad things in Kansas. It's curriculum must be comprehensive and promote abstinence. Which is, promoting abstinence is different from assuming that's what's going to happen. Second one, curriculum must recognize different sexual orientations, gender identities, and gender expression. Curriculum must include instruction on consent. parents or guardians may remove their children from sex education instruction through the opt-out policy, but there's no opt-in policy. And then Oregon law requires sex education to be medically accurate. So yeah, I thought that was worth pointing out that different states do it differently, and people across the U.S. are getting different sex education and could be having the same. I mean, people are having the same experience you and I had, where we had to Google stuff on our own, and I think that's a lot more common than I previously thought. Oh, I also thought it was interesting that there's no grade, there's no uniform age where people start doing sex education.
I would have thought that too. Like
Yeah.
starting in 4th grade, we talk about this, and then 8th grade, we're finally talking about this. I don't
Right.
know, whatever.
Right, you think there'd just be a video, like the U.S. video.
Right.
Like I'm picturing, that Captain America video in the Avengers at
Right,
the end,
uh-huh.
where he's like, just gives a general talk to the kids in detention. I would think there'd just be like a American sex education video that
Yeah,
everyone
you'd
watches
think.
in like 6th grade or something. But no.
Wild. Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I'm thinking of is how my life would have looked, how different my life would have looked had I had like actual comprehensive sex ed.
Mm-hmm.
But now I just want to talk to somebody who did go to Oregon public school all the way through and ask them a ton of questions. Like, wait, what does that mean? What did you learn? At what age? And just, I think that'd be so interesting. Let's put our sex ed to the test. Let's see if our 0 out of 100 sex ed that we got taught us anything about the human body. How do you feel about that, George?
Feel great. I feel like my ability to Google search is better than yours.
Yeah, at this point, what do you think, since I didn't learn any of these things that I'm going to ask you from sex ed, where would you have learned these things? Just like asking around Google?
Yeah, just walking up to people on the side of the street.
Hey, by the way.
What's a sloppy toppy? Do you know what that is?
Sorry, I didn't go to sex ed and they didn't talk about sloppy toppy when I was in 8th grade. Sometimes I'll still get hit with a thing that I should have learned in 8th grade that I didn't know, and that'll wig me out sometimes. I'll be like, whoa, I'm still learning new things about the body.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if today we do some of that. So do you want to ask your questions first, or do you want to ask me, or do you want me to ask my questions first?
I'll go first.
All right, great.
All right. These are all multiple choice. I've got 3 questions. We'll start with question 1. Is it possible to contract an STI from oral sex?
Yes.
The correct answer is yes.
You can get it on your mouth.
Well done. Well done, Jack.
I've been studying. All right, George, here's my question for you. Which of these is not a common way for your body to change during puberty? Which of these is not a common way for your body to change during puberty? Your body odor becomes more prevalent. Body hair in the pubic area becomes thicker and darker. Your skin becomes oilier. And the hair on your head can start to change colors in some instances.
All right, which one is not? The pubic hair, that's out. Changing the hair on your head, it could be, because you said it's like a few instances. I could see that being different. Maybe some people's hair gets curly or wavy after they hit puberty. I don't know. So that's a placeholder. Your body becomes more oily. Oh, and the body odor. Body odor definitely happens. More oily. It's either oily or the hair on your head. And my hair didn't change, and I don't feel like that happened to that many people. So I'm gonna go with hair on your head doesn't change. Final answer.
I made that up. You're right. I made that up. It was actually kind of hard to think of one that would trip you up. But yeah, that's why you start to get like zits and stuff when you go through puberty. It's because your body oils start to start coming out, and then you get zits and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Learned that today, actually. I didn't know that had anything to do with body oil. Learned it today.
All right. My second question to you. This is for the women in the audience. Douching is good for your vaginal health.
I actually am pretty certain that it is not good for your vaginal health.
Do you know what douching is?
I do. It's cleaning out your vagina with like water, like with
Nice.
yeah. I I don't think it's good. I don't think you're supposed to do that. I think your body doesn't need to do
Correct.
that.
I've called way too many people douches to not know what douching meant until an hour ago. But now I know.
Now you know.
And I'll continue using it.
All right. Here's my question. What is the difference between the vulva and the vagina?
Well, first of all, they sound different. The vagina is the thing. Well, let me really think here. I want to say the vulva is not the one you put the penis in. So I'm going to go with vagina is the one you put the penis in.
Okay. You are wrong.
Damn
You
it.
are wrong.
What have I been putting my penis in?
So they're actually like, what would the vulva be if not like
Just a different
looking-
flap. Like an
Okay, I see
inner
what you're
layer,
saying.
outer
I see what you're
layer.
saying. Right. So if that's your answer, then you're actually kind of close.
Oh, okay.
So technically, the vagina is like the internal, like. I'm staring at a thing right now. The vagina is kind of like all of it, like
Okay.
and mostly like the inside, I guess. now I'm answering this in a way that is gonna make me embarrassed. The way I've understood it.
The way I've understood it in the past reads Google.
I so desperately don't want to be wrong on this. It would be so embarrassing for me to try to raw dog this answer and just every woman in the comments is like, bro, have you ever seen a vagina in your life? So the way I've understood it, I won't read Google, and then I will read it in a way that makes sense. The way I've understood it is the vagina is like the hole itself, and the vulva is the external, like the exterior bits. the visible bits. So the vagina is the hole, the vulva is the bits.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm picturing it like, yeah, it's like there's like layers. It's like an onion. There's layers. Do you want to volunteer at like a local middle school and give sex ed talks together?
I think I should.
All right.
I keep pulling up Google. So, wait, I think this is. Let me check real quick. Okay, I am correct. The vulva is kind of just all of it, and all of it.
I thought you were saying the vagina was all of it.
No, okay. The vulva is all of the exterior parts. Like there's the labia minora, the labia majora. That is like the vulva because that's what you see, the visible portions of the what we would have thought as vagina.
Yeah,
really, anything that you would have when you picture vagina, that's actually probably the vulva because you're looking at it.
Okay.
Okay, George, you have a question now?
Yes, my third question is, which of these STIs is caused by a virus?
I won't know this.
Multiple choice here. A, B, C, D.
Okay.
A, chlamydia. B, gonorrhea. C, HIV. D, syphilis.
I really thought I wasn't going to know it, but it's definitely HIV because I think V stands for virus.
Ding, ding, ding. You got it. You 3 for 3'd my sex ed questions.
Let's go. That's actually really important to me. Yeah.
Well done.
All right. Now, how about this? What is the purpose of vaginal discharge?
Ooh. I mean, purpose is a question philosophers have been arguing for generations. So where to begin is really the question that I think you're asking is what is meaning? All right, the purpose of discharge. My guess, and I don't know. My guess is, like when you sneeze, that's your body saying, "Hey, there's like something in here, and we're trying to get it out." There's some like bacteria, or like if you're allergic to something, there's some, pollen in your sinuses. Let's sneeze it out. It tries to like expunge something that's going on. So that's going to be my guess. There's some sort of bacteria or infection that the vagina is trying to get rid of, and that's the purpose of discharge. Final answer.
Great. All right. So before I tell you whether or not that's correct, I'm going to read you out the 4 options.
Oh, great.
And then I'll see if you stick with your answer. Number 1, it's a precursor to the period. It's the first bit of period blood. Like it's the first shedding.
It's like pre-cum.
Yeah, like pre-cum, but for period blood. Exactly. Number 2, it's how the vagina cleans itself. It's its own self-cleaning system. And that's the discharge.
That's kind of my answer.
Out. Yeah, that's what I would assume is your answer there. Number 3, it is not typical, and you should call a doctor if you experience anything more than a teaspoon of discharge in a month. So it doesn't really have a purpose. It's not typical, and it's not supposed to be happening. And you're not supposed to experience more than a teaspoon a month. And then 4, it's a natural sign that the lubricating fluid of your vagina is working as it should. It's just like an excess of the lubricating fluid.
Well, you kind of killed it with the fake options. I'm not going to lie. Great job.
Yeah, let's go.
Great job. Yeah, I'm going to stick with clean yourself. I think that's what the vag is trying to do.
This man knows his vaginas.
Yes.
This man knows his vaginas. I would say you were basically 3 for 3. I mean,
well,
the
no, I
vagina
didn't.
Almost tripped you up a bit, but I think you kind of got it.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you did say it was a different hole, which is just not true. But once I kind of let you clarified it in a way that wasn't as embarrassing as saying it's a different hole.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
How many holes do women have?
I'm not going to lie. I just never put it together, but I didn't learn till like a year ago that women peed out of a different hole than the penis went into. I thought they were peeing out of the same hole.
I was probably 25.
Yeah.
Probably 25.
Found that out a year ago. So theoretically, they could pee and be having sex.
Damn right they could be. Damn right they
just
could
like
be.
a guy could like poop and be peeing. All right. And I think that's a good place to wrap it up. I'm picturing like one of our aunts listening to this episode. I think that'd be pretty fun,
actually. You know, I'm picturing our little brothers reading this or listening to this episode, and they're like, how much are they going to be learning from us?
Yeah, I hope they've learned a lot already.
I hope they've learned so much, and I hope you have too, everybody.
Yeah, that's what we try to do is educate.
Right, that's all we're doing here. As always, if you don't follow us on YouTube or Instagram, please do. We love you guys.
Whoa, Jack, me love you. I don't know who all of you are. I don't consent to that.
I love you. I love you than everybody. A better sign off, George.
No, I don't have a better sign off. Oh wait. Do you want to know what the Alabama Hot Pocket is?
Are you on? What are you on? Are you on Urban Dictionary?
The Alabama Hot Pocket is a sex move where one shits into the woman's vagina. And with that, thank you everyone for listening.
This has been That Which Finds Us.
And that's That Which Finds Us. Tune in next week. All right, bye.